In late 2001, trading card games were beginning to take off in the world. The Pokemon TCG had made its worldwide debut a few years prior, and in Japan the Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG was beginning to take off shortly afterwards in 1999. By the same time the States, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was just starting to make its US debut on Kids WB, and the trading cards were launched in a few months into 2002, becoming mega popular around the world. Meanwhile, Nintendo had just launched a successful Game Boy Advance, the 32-bit successor to the mega popular Game Boy Color. The first few months came and went for both the US, Japan, and Europe, but with the rise of collectible card games, Nintendo decided to launch and test a strange accessory for their new handheld in December of 2001. That accessory is none other than a Nintendo e-reader, which I'll be sharing my experiences and memories with today on Eternal Memories. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Eternal Memories. It's been a while after the demotivating performance of my last episode, but I'm back in the groove and ready to be passionate about the things I loved growing up. Today, as I promised last time, I'm going to be sharing my memories of this device, the Nintendo e-reader. Most Nintendo fans in general just seem to shrug this device off as an oddity that no one ever used that much, but I actually had a ton of fond memories with this device in my late childhood, and since the collecting phase has started again for Nintendo's Amiibo, I'm here to share what I consider to be the first attempt into appearing to young collectors with the e-reader device and all the cards I have for it. So yeah, the e-reader is an accessory that plugs into the Game Boy Advance's cartridge slot. Since this came out shortly after the launch of the original model, the link connector will only work on the original model and the Game Boy player, because it kept the link connector above the card slot. So thus, you can't use linking features on the DS Lite or the Game Boy Advance SP if you decide to plug it in like this. And it looks like a weird tower of power this way. And yeah, you can attach a wireless adapter to it too, because it will fit, but it won't do anything because it, wasn't made in mind when they made the e-reader. This is a weird tower of power though. So my first experience to anything e-reader related was from the same method most of you, in the US at least, probably experienced the e-reader or at least the cards. If you were in the United States growing up with a GBA, it was sometime 2003 and Super Mario Advance 4 came out on the Game Boy Advance. My grandmother took me to the local Walmart back in 2003 to get a new Game Boy Advance game when I was visiting her for one of the weekends I spent with my grandma. And seeing the new Mario Advance game, I didn't notice before after playing the last three and loving them, I picked that one out for my Game Boy Advance needs, because after all, I had Mario Advances 2 and 3 to begin with already, and Mario Advance 1 was one I buy a few months later from Walmart. Mario Advance 3 in particular was also the main motivator for me getting a Game Boy Advance to begin with, so I was eager to check out the sequel. Well, my overall experience with Mario Advance 4 is for another time. One of the first things I noticed while opening the box, before preparing to throw it away like I always did back then, because stupid me, Game Boy Advance boxes are kind of fun to keep, I found the included e-reader cards. I honestly don't remember what the game included, but I think it was the level card and this leaf card, at least Mario Wiki seems to say that. Either way, I remember opening up at my aunt's house and finding the card really strange because it promised a new level, but it didn't tell me how to actually get to it outside of going to World E, which the manual prompted. So I did so, and Toad blocked me. Assuming it required a link cable I never had access to as a kid, I just shrugged it off, and eventually the e-reader card was lost. Probably thrown away by myself since I thought it was useless, or pawned off by my birth mother like many other things she did, which eventually included the very game I was enjoying at the time, as Mario Advance 4 eventually became sold for money. But no, it wasn't until the middle of 2007 when I was walking into a GameStop near my area in search of some old new games to buy for my DS and Game Boy Advance. I remember checking out the new Super Mario Bros. Demo unit at that same store, being a bit scared by the 3D graphics, and I looked to see what Game Boy Advance games they had in the used category. And then the glass display case, a factory sealed box that was the likes of which I've never seen before. It used the same artwork as Mario Party 4, which I didn't care for much, but instead of being a Game Boy Advance version of Mario Party 4, it was called Mario Party E, and it came in a cardboard box akin to some other Game Boy Advance games, but a lot bulkier than the standard ones. Being a huge fan of Mario Party 5 through 7, and thinking Mario Party 4 was okay at least, I bought a copy out of curiosity and head home, opening it up and expecting it to be akin to something like the board game from Mario Party Advance from the back of the box, and yeah, when I opened the box, I did not find a Game Boy Advance cartridge or any sort of crazy accessory, but just some strange looking cards with barcodes on them and a paper board akin to the board from Mario Party Advance. I messed around with just the cards by themselves, but I grew bored incredibly quickly, even though there is a way to play the game without the actual e-reader. So I decided to look for the accessory the game prompted me to have, which was a Nintendo e-reader. The strange card-reading device proved difficult to find in stores, however, and I don't even remember how I got one in the end. All I know is that shortly after I couldn't play the main game this way, I asked my grandma to look for one, and shortly afterwards I got it. I assumed she found it through eBay because it was very inexpensive at the time and still is to this day. But even when I scanned the cards on the e-reader, I didn't fully understand what it was about because they just prompted uninteresting mini-games. That being said, I did find out that Ruby and Sapphire could use it, but the cards needed to do those tasks were much more expensive, especially the Eon ticket, so I never got around to them. As for the whereabouts of Mario Party E, the game that basically started all for this little device, I have no idea where it went. And unlike most of my past possessions, as I mentioned before, I can't blame my birth mother from taking it or stealing it or selling it because I bought it like a year or two after I met her, and I've never brought it over to any of the meetups with her we had. So, really, if it's not in my grandparents' basement, which is the last place I played with it, I don't know where it is. It may have just been thrown out or whatnot. It's believable because I didn't really care for it much. I was more into this thing, and I got more uses for it later on, but yeah, Mario Party E, I don't have any idea where it is. So now that I've explained how I got this device, let's show it off. The e-reader is a funny shaped device that was designed only for the original Game Boy models in mind, as I mentioned before. So it'll still work on the SP or DS Lite, but you can't use a cable to connect with other Game Boy Advances or GameCubes if you do so. It'll still read cards perfectly fine though, and that's what we're here to discuss. Any card with a barcode like this will be able to get scanned into the e-reader, but only if you do it extremely slowly, otherwise you'll get read errors.
Read error.
The most common type of card you'll see these dot codes on, if you haven't already, are select Pokemon TCG cards. For a period of time, Wizards of the Coast released a series of Pokemon TCG packs which contain dot codes on the side of them, and scanning one half will bring up a generic Pokédex entry, while the other will piece together a playable game. The only game piece I have is of a Clefairy music theme that plays a song I recognize, but I can't even remember the name of it. Seriously, if anyone knows what this song is, let me know, because I swear I've heard it before. Either way, they slowed down the game aspects of the e-reader cards when later sets came around, and eventually they only put the Pokédex codes in there when Nintendo took over the TCG, and before the middle of the EX Ruby Sapphire line, they cut off the e-reader functionality altogether. So yeah, nothing special here about the Pokemon cards, even though you think this would have been a big moneymaker, but it's a curious piece of Pokemon history nonetheless. No. For me, the e-reader cards that made this device I commonly used were the NES series, and most importantly of all, the Animal Crossing series. Yes, before Animal Crossing Amiibo cards, there were Animal Crossing e-reader cards. And since I got into the series back in 2008, I was hooked on these. Nintendo's online store sold new packs to Series 1 and 4 at a time that you could order for like $5-6 a piece on Nintendo's online store, so I was just simply able to buy them from Nintendo themselves, and thanks to the Animal Crossing community, the first ever online forum I joined that I mentioned in prior episodes, I was able to trade my duplicates with others on the site, trying to build up a complete collection if possible, or at least get cards that present cool items in my Animal Crossing game. You see, while you can redeem passwords written on the cards themselves on the back, the way the game prefers you collect these items is by linking a GameCube connector to the e-reader and then using it at the post office in-game to have special letters delivered to the home with the item the characters associated with inside the envelope. Most of these were just fancy furniture and hard to find items, and in the beginning there wasn't really much in the way of exclusive perks for scanning these cards. However, the benefits of Series 1 came from the rarer cards of the set and not the animal cards, those cards being the design cards and the music cards. Design cards are self-explanatory, as you simply scan design card at the Able Sister shop and you'll get a design in-game to wear on the umbrella or hat or clothing. It's usually based off of another Nintendo product like the Shine Sprite and Mario NES sprites you see here. The Town Tune cards are even more simple to use, as it's just town medley printed on the card. You could easily scan the card so the game would print it for you, but it literally tells you what notes to put on the town board on the back, so just entering it manually is the quicker way in my opinion. There's not much to say about the Town Tune cards, but when you do scan these in the e-reader without connecting them, it does give you some lovely renditions of the tunes. On to Series 2, which I only have 4 cards of since packs back then were $80 freaking on eBay, so I only got 4 of these via trading. Nevertheless, it did introduce a new set of cards, the game cards. You wouldn't scan these into Animal Crossing, but you actually had to scan them like a typical e-reader card in the e-reader itself, because it would complete a very simple minigame that allowed you to play with the animal cards. So if you combine specific animal cards to work together for either like a race or for a jump rope or fireworks, you get a different reward depending on what cards you chose. It would basically change up the RNG and whatever let you win in those games. And the better you did, the more rare items you get via passwords. And that was about it. Series 3 was the same, not introducing anything new, with rarity and all being the same. And finally, we get to Series 4, the final series of cards that was released. Since I could only buy these from Nintendo's website, this was the easiest set to get next to Series 1 because they were sold for dirt cheap. And it was also my most desirable set to get due to the 2 rarest cards in the series, the NES Animal Crossing cards. Yes, if you manage to get these ultra rare Ice Climbers and Mario Brothers cards and then scan them while connected to the post office, you would get a letter containing one of the 2 unobtainable NES titles, which depends on the card of course, and you could not get these items by scanning them through the e-reader itself and getting a password, or looking at the card because there's no password in-game coded for these 4 titles. 4? Yes, because alongside Ice Climbers and Mario Brothers, there are 2 other titles I'm going to mention shortly that were probably going to be released in Series 5, there was one, but never happened. But yeah, before we stop talking about Animal Crossing e-reader cards, there was another elephant in the room. The Amiibo cards. Yes, these Amiibo cards are basically the modern version of Animal Crossing e-reader cards. They have a character on them, it doesn't have a description anymore because it just has the NFC chip on the back, and there's different variants, different series, etc. And you'd think from how I discussed the whole excitement and thrill of getting new cards from the e-reader line as a kid, I'd be all over this. And you can see I have lots of cards I'm organizing right now from Series 1. There's just one problem. They suck. I'm dead serious, there's no use for them, except in 2 of the... well, one I haven't played yet, and one I do own that I have not opened because it's a forbidden game. But yeah, Tort Timer for example, I can't summon him in New Leaf except to get an item because, well, what these cards do is through an update in Animal Crossing New Leaf, you can scan any card you want and kick out a neighbor you hate and replace it with one you would like, which I think is awesome. Finally, you can control your own neighbors. So I can kick out that stupid mouse that was in my town for like since I got in 2013 and replace it with this lovely bird lady. Then afterwards you don't really have much to do with it. You can get items and I think you can even unlock Animal Crossing Puzzle League, which I was excited for until there was no multiplayer and I found out that was really just a boring score attack game and not actual Puzzle League. No competitive Puzzle League. I can't believe they messed that up, but I digress. New Leaf messed lots of things up. So yeah, the Animal Crossing Amiibo cards do the same thing. They work with the game, a lot easier to use, you don't need a stupid cable, they just don't have much of a use. Don't even get me started on the Animal Crossing Amiibo figures, which don't even do much in New Leaf as well. They are meant for Amiibo Festival, a board game where you play with animals, and yeah, Isabelle's the star, and well, I'm gonna talk about how much I hate Isabelle's impact in the series later on. And Happy Home Designer, which is a bit different because you actually can summon every single neighbor from what I can gather to the game and help them build a house, even people like Pelly and Tom Nook. But the thing is, I wasn't much into the home designing aspect of Animal Crossing. I was like playing the NES games or fishing and getting money and getting cool retro stuff. That's the only furniture I got. But New Leaf, they relegated all that to fortune cookies that were play coins. That kind of stuff getting duplicates. I'll talk about Animal Crossing as a whole another time, but they do continue the legacy, and now they're dead because after the Welcome Amiibo set, they kind of stopped making Amiibo cards and they didn't reprint the old ones. So they're even rarer than e-reader cards now in some cases, like that Sanrio pack where they partnered with the Hello Kitty creators. I can't believe they did that. I digress. And yes, I mean it when I say that the Animal Crossing NES cards are the holy grail of the lineup. Heck, funny story about this particular card of Ice Climber, because as I mentioned just now, if you scan it or look at the back, you won't get the game. You have to connect it to the GameCube, use a cable, and then scan the card when it prompts you to get the game mailed to the Animal Crossing inbox. And it's one of the Forbidden 4 games that they did not make available via password, so basically there's still 2, Zelda 1 and Mario 1, that you can't even get at all without cheating. But Ice Climber Mario Bros., they released them. And because I liked Ice Climber on my Wii, I wanted to play this on Animal Crossing. Yes, it's stupid, I already owned the game, I just wanted it on Animal Crossing because I guess it saved high scores and I like high score saving. I mean, it is nice that they save high scores in those versions because high scores are the only reason to play these games. But I digress. So yeah, funny story. On Christmas of 2009, I was a young kid, and this was when Santa was still a thing, instead of Santa Kitty, Santa Breaks, and silly stuff I think of nowadays for fun in Christmas. I was dead set about what they portrayed Santa as in TV shows and cartoons and other media, as a super magical almighty man who can basically grant wishes and save children and make them happy in one night. So guess what I used to do? I would make a list of my most wanted possession of the entire Christmas season on Christmas Eve at 10 p.m. Yes, that means I would put an item that no one would be able to buy me. I could not get from Santa because, well, no one's gonna shop at 10 p.m. on the night before Christmas when everything is closed. And needless to say, I doubt Santa has an obscure game card that they only made certain copies of in his bag. So yeah, Ice Climber was the card I asked for on the night before Christmas, thinking I'd get it the next morning, it'd be so magical and I could have Ice Climber in my Animal Crossing room. Next morning came around, and from Santa I got the Pokeball design cards and a few other Series 4 looses from eBay, because, well, those cards were some I did want, but I wanted Ice Climber more than anything. But this card and Mario Bros. Never ever get listed on eBay, and if they do, it's like very rare, not often at all. So yeah, I was disappointed, and being a little 10-year-old at the time, I threw a big tantrum. A very big tantrum. And my grandma actually got a video camera for that Christmas. Luckily it's broken, because then she said she would have filmed my tantrum and basically, you know, let me look back on it for years to come. And I hate being filmed. Well, back then I do. I still don't now, but I'm filming myself, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, this card, I flew a fit over Ice Climber as a 10-year-old. Ice Climber was a holy grail. And now that's coming to the Nintendo Switch Online as one of those crappy 10 games they announced for like online multiplayer, even though the arcade version is superior and also coming to Switch. I don't care anymore. 10-year-old me would be all over Ice Climber, but not old me. I only care for the arcade version. So yeah, a year later I ended up trading for this card. I know I pulled Mario Brothers from a pack, 2 of them in fact. And Ice Climber, I got in a trade because it has wear marks here, and I never have wear marks to name my own cars. So yeah, I got Ice Climber in a trade, and that's the story of how I got Ice Climber. And last but not least, another series of e-reader cards I started collecting as a kid, the NES series. These cards came in packs of 5, and each card had 2 sides to them that you need to scan with the e-reader in order to piece together a 10-piece puzzle, or 9-piece puzzle in some cases, that would form a complete NES game. one of the black box ones. Yeah, sorry for NES enthusiasts, but none of the games in the series are really special. These titles launched way before their classic NES series cards, so there's no high score saving either, and the e-reader is not even capable of holding save files, as all that can save are applications. Though fun fact, every single game released for the e-reader line except for one are playable titles in the GameCube Animal Crossing game. Even though Ice Climbers and Mario Bros are much easier to get through these individual NES card methods than actual Animal Crossing e-reader cards. But I digress. They are also buyable via the NES Classic Game Boy Advance line as well, so you have lots of other options to get these classics if you really want to play Ice Climber or Clu Clu Land for whatever reason. But Urban Champion is the exception, because you could not buy this game through any other method for that generation of consoles. Yes, the game people do not like to play at all, no matter how many times Nintendo re-releases it or remakes it for the 3DS of all things, is exclusive to the e-reader line, back in the day at least. So if you want to play Urban Champion outside the NES, before the Wii Virtual Console kicked off a ton of re-releases that drowned us to this day, then these expensive and rare e-reader cards are for you. And yeah, I didn't bother picking up Urban Champion because they're really expensive, I don't want to spend that much money on that game, and instead I found better games to play with the e-reader. So my first e-reader card packs were for Donkey Kong 3 and Donkey Kong, since I enjoy both of them on Animal Crossing. I still have my Donkey Kong cards kept in a barely open pack so I can put them back in any time, but I misplaced my Donkey Kong 3 cards long ago, so I'd have to rebuy that if I wanted to do a collection again. Luckily I still have the other pack I got shortly afterwards, which was of Mario Bros. Not content with the crazy rare Animal Crossing e-reader card, I found a sealed pack of Mario Bros for an affordable price that I got as well, in case I didn't have Animal Crossing on me all the time to play the game on my Game Boy. Though I did open the pack up more than the Donkey Kong one, I still have the Mario Bros NES card pack. I didn't even collect too many of these card packs growing up, but I did dabble in a bit of some hunting for a couple of these in 2010, and believe it or not, Clu Clu Land is the most significant of them all for me, because not only Clu Clu Land is my favorite of this NES lineup, but it actually was the subject of my very first video on my personal account on YouTube, with a very short unboxing where I reopened a card pack after failing to film it once before, and then showing off the cards afterwards. This was way back in the day, like on my birthday, my 13th birthday in 2011, when I was too shy to even speak or show myself on camera because of how when I worked with another YouTuber named Amanda, the Amanda person I mentioned in another video that helps with my site, I basically had no channel of my own because she was older than me and thus was old enough to have a YouTube channel of her own, so I mostly helped her with her videos on a combined YouTube channel for my old website that's pretty much dead now. So I made my personal account when I was of age to make my own videos in hope of, well, to be honest, making it big. I was just trying to see what would stick, to be honest. And this Clu Clu Land video is my very first one, all because I wanted to show off something cool I got, but was too scared to be on camera because of some comments on the other channel we joint hosted together, where some people did not like my voice. At least my voice as a 12-year-old. This video didn't get much attention in the end, but it was the official start of my solo legacy on YouTube, and a video where I filmed my DS Lite with my 3DS playing the game a few years later was also one of my earlier videos, and funnily enough, was another first because it was the first off-screen recording I ever made with my 3DS camera.
Good, they'll stop. I can finish the level. So I'll get that last ingot. That's what they call it in an instruction manual. A gold ingot. I don't know how to pronounce that word though. And here we go, a heart.
Oh, and I still have sealed packs of Ice Climber and Baseball, which I never opened to this day. I also got those in 2011 for my birthday. I'm keeping it that way. But yeah, that wraps my NES E collection, save for an Excite Bike set I found at a local game store 2 years ago that I played for a few minutes, loaded onto my e-reader and forgot about cause it's Excite Bike, not versus Excite Bike. But maybe I'll collect the rest of the cards someday if I feel like it, though Nintendo wants me to buy a subscription to play these on my Switch, even though they are not that good games and not worth $20, but I digress. There are other better ways to play these NES games. So yeah, in the end, the NES line was not that impressive, but it was an interesting first step for Nintendo actually distributing the old classics before the Virtual Console lived and just died lately, because they love to make you rent games now instead of buy them, because Sony did a dumb move, PS Now, and everyone wants to share that stupid pie. Again, I digress. But there was another system that was going to come to the e-reader, and if this happened, I'd have been over it, because it's one of oddities, and I always do whatever I can to get any sort of thing related to this. The Game & Watch. Yes, there was going to be an e-reader Game & Watch series. They gave out this promo code and I think some magazines and E3. I don't have the E3 print, otherwise it'd be in the corner. I have the normal magazine print. I got this off eBay like in 2009, and it's sadly one of the worst Game & Watch games ever made. It's Manhole, one of the most boring Game & Watch games to date, and you just move and stop people. It's not a clever game like Donkey Kong Jr., a fun one like Spitball Sparky, or even a fun, simple one like Helmet. No, it's Manhole. But in the right corner you can see this says Classic Version. Yes, they were gonna do modern versions as well, like they did in Game Watch Gallery 4, where basically you could scan in a modern card and play it with Mario and friends, and it was basically gonna be a Game Watch Gallery on the e-reader, that they just put more cards down, make a virtual console-like service with the Game & Watch line. But I guess because the e-reader died or no one bought the NES ones and they wanted simple ROMs, they just gave up after this one card. Even though there's prototype art of the actual packs and what cards could have been floating around online, which makes me very upset that they didn't go through with this. The Game & Watch is one of my favorite lines Nintendo's made, and I collected a few of them myself. I even have Donkey Kong hockey somewhere around here. But if they made the more obscure games like the Legend of Zelda Game & Watch or Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch available through this, it would have been amazing, cause most of those collections that they release hide Zelda behind stupid unlock requirements. But that's for another time. So yeah, it's always an interesting look at what could have been for the e-reader line. And in the end, Nintendo's e-reader was a clever little idea. It didn't really do well, but I grew up with it. I had fun with the Animal Crossing e-reader cards, getting new items by game. The quest for the Ice Climber card was interesting to say the least. And the NES line was okay, but it did help start my channel, so I have that to thank for it. But yeah, I grew up with this thing. I wish it did much better than it did, because then it could have maybe gone to Europe and actually done better, and then we would have more games, and I could have had my beloved Game & Watch line available. But such like the Nintendo 64 DD, they just killed it off when they realized nothing was gonna come out of it. At least they kept the Wii U alive before the Switch killed it. This is Eternal Memories, and I will say goodbye until the next episode, which will be about my experiences with the WiiWare service and my first ever indie game. So yeah, watch that next episode that comes out to find out what indie game was my first, and why the WiiWare, and some of the Wii Shop channel.